on my haters, y'all taking a minute. Hadouken! Hadouken! Hadouken!
Gamer Braves. What's up guys, this is One from Gamer Braves. Now, Street Fighter 6 is fast becoming the competitive game to watch. CPT has $1 million bison dollars to the winner of the next Street Fighter 6 tournament, and to top it all off, there's been everything from leaked builds to early copies of the game. Won't anyone think of the sportsmanship? Little did I know though, that the biggest threat to the sanctity of the Street Fighter 6 competitive scene would not be coming from illegal copies of the game. Instead, they will be coming from within the game itself. Modern controls come to ruin our hard-earned FGC experience with simple combos and one-button specials. Imagine, you're at CPT Grand Finals and poor Tokido is out there sweating himself a storm while a child with a Fisher-Price controller is doing touch of death combos on him, all while watching Baby Shark on an iPad just to the left of the screen. Then, and truly then, will the FGC be dead. Except it's not. After the last beta in particular, you may have seen a fair amount of tech going around involving modern controls. A lot of these tend to revolve around the character Guile, particularly because of the sonic boom now being relegated to one button, and will usually involve him doing some sort of near touch of death, or in some cases actual touch of death combos. I know your first reaction to this is to immediately tweet up a storm about how modern controls, or as some may call them woke controls, are out here to ruin the FGC. But listen from someone who plays anime fighters. The most important advice I can tell you: never trust a Twitter combo. Alright, Twitter combos were invented by Zato mains as some weird way to punish themselves by making their characters look stronger than they actually are, so that they'd be nerfed, so that they can continue to downplay the character, I guess. We don't entirely have time to get into what's going on with the Zato main. I just hope they're okay. But the point is that with a lot of Twitter combos, they tend to be actually impractical to pull off. There's a reason why you have to record it the moment your match finishes, because you're probably not going to have the chance to set it up again. But I understand the effect of this. Characters like Zangief and Guile are rooted in their input difficulty. Guile is a lot of people's introduction to charge characters, while Zangief makes you churn butter like you lived on the American countryside. The idea of someone being able to do one-button sonic booms or SPDs admittedly is scary. But that being said, I think if you think that modern controls are somehow going to ruin Street Fighter, and I say this with nothing but love in my heart, I think you might just be bad at Street Fighter. There's no shame in this either. I am the first to admit that I am terrible at Street Fighter. The only difference is I know it. When I lose 5 of my placement matches in a row, my first thought is, well, I literally haven't been practicing this game. Of course I'm going to lose it. Instead of making up some excuse that absolves me of any blame for my own losses. At the end of the day, modern controls are about balance. And I'm not talking about the fact that modern controls reduce the amount of damage you do, although that is appreciated. Instead, there is a much more important trade-off when you use modern control, and that is your options. Just look at Guile. Guile has, bare minimum, 3 different sonic moves. One for every strength, a light, a medium, and a heavy sonic move. That's not even counting things like the EX Sonic Boom or the Perfect Sonic Boom that they've added in Street Fighter 6. You could have a player literally only use Guile's normals and Sonic Boom be his only special, and that player could kick a lot of butt just because they can mix you up with the timing and the range of his Sonic Booms. With modern controls, you're not going to get any of that. You only have the one Sonic Boom. When someone is using modern controls, the game switches into a much more fundamentals heavy game, which means that if you're losing to someone on modern controls, your fundamentals probably suck. Funny enough, the whole debate about modern controls ties into a lot of the FGC's worst habits. You see this a lot with grapplers as well. Part of the reason why grapplers are so strong on day one of any fighting game's launch is the fact that new players tend to be worse at adapting. By right, when you see a player playing Mon controls, you need to adapt to their speed of game. Understand that fireballs are probably only ever going to be coming in this one situation, for example. That's exactly how the grappler matchup works as well, but the problem is a lot of players still think that they can play at the speed they want, and as a result, end up eating the big muscle man's giant wrestling move for a shit ton of damage. While I'm here, I'm gonna trade one more secret for you. As someone with not a lot of FGC friends, shut the hell up about Mon controls. Do you know how hard it is to get my friends to play a fighting game with me? I work harder than the UN in terms of diplomacy, and the best I got was they agreed to play Smash with me, but Joker had to be banned and we could only play in 2v2 matches against the CPU. What kind of a world is that? Mon controls are the kind of thing that help newer players jump into a game without having to be told condescending things like, oh, just spend the first 6 hours of your game in the training mode and you'll figure out what to do. No, they won't. They're just looking for a fun thing to do in the afternoon. And if Mon Control stops them from getting triple perfected in a 2-round game, then maybe that's good. At the end of the day, Mon controls are just a crutch for normal people who don't spend 6 hours a day playing fighting games to feel like the game is actually fun and not have them get their butts kicked all the time, and that's fine. You'd think the people worrying about Mon controls ruining the FGC would learn to block on wake up instead of worrying about how some tool that lets little Jimmy take part in the party Street Fighter games. That makes no sense. None of that matters. In the end, what you need to remember is that high-level competitive fighting games are actually not the same game as what they are on the beginner level. On the higher level, fighting games are an extreme decision-making game where every action has a million branches that you can shoot off of. Even if someone touch of death Daigo using Mon controls, you think they're gonna pull that off again on the second round? What about the rest of the set? Nah man, Daigo's gonna overcome that stuff. That's part of what being good at Street Fighter is, and more players should just aspire to do that. It's part of the big difference between why some players can be so good on day one versus the others, is your thinking is just primed for this kind of gameplay. Like sure, Mon controls are gonna get you to do a touch of death combo. Will it help you block a mix-up? Will it help you time a meaty? No, those are all skills you get from playing the game. Instead, what Mon controls does is it just makes that first step so much lower for more people to jump on. Heck, it can even turn it into a ramp in the case of dynamic controls. Honestly, I am loving the levels of accessibility that a lot of fighting games are doing nowadays. I saw people complaining about the special style in Tekken 8 as well because of the threat of one-button electric wind god fist. But guess what? If you're skilled enough to switch to special style in the middle of a combo just to do electrics, I think you're good enough to play Tekken on the competitive level. The idea that these kinds of easy control modes instantly bring you to top 8 at the Capcom Pro Tour is just loser mentality. And coming from an actual loser, that means something. This is all getting in the way of what really matters, which is that way more people are going to be jumping into Street Fighter 6 if there's an easier way to control for them. And that means more wins for us as we climb up the ladder. Now, if you'll excuse me, Street Fighter 6 comes out this weekend and I need to practice my combos in the demo in the off chance that I have to fight Lil Wayne in pools at EVO.
Maybe you get to throw hands with your boy Weezy. Peace.
This has been Wandermill from Game Braves. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Don't forget to give us a subscribe if you'd like to see more, and like so we know what kind of content you want to see. Got suggestions for new content? Let us know in the comments below too. Thank you so much again for watching. Take care, dudes.